Chud the Builder case just got a major update. The arrest affidavit has been made public, and people are now analyzing exactly what happened outside that courthouse in Clarksville, Tennessee. And what's becoming clear is that the legal situation is far more complex than the initial media narrative suggested. This case is going to hinge entirely on understanding self-defense law, the timeline of events, and the burden of proof. And there are legitimate questions about whether the prosecution can actually prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt. Let me break down what we know from the official documents and why this matters.
Chud the Builder had to shoot a man in self-defense after he was slammed to the ground and this man tried to take his gun. His name is Joshua Fox. He's a 33-year-old black man. He'd previously been arrested for trying to kill his wife with a screwdriver. He was beating his wife. He called up random people with multiple different phone numbers and threatened them, and he tried to burn down a building full of people. Joshua Fox started this confrontation, calling Chud the Builder over, insulting him, aggravating a situation. Chud the Builder de-escalates and actually walks away. This man follows him, then assaults him, slamming him to the ground, which is seen on video. Joshua Fox lived. He is fine. American blacks believe that if someone says a mean word, then they can do whatever they.
So on May 13, 2026, at the Montgomery County Courthouse in Clarksville, Tennessee, Dalton Eatherly, known online as Chud the Builder, got into a confrontation with a man named Joshua Fox. Joshua Fox is a 31-year-old disabled veteran who served in the U.S. military for 6 years. According to his family, he has PTSD and other medical issues that affect his mental health and physical well-being. The official arrest warrant states the following timeline. Eatherly and Fox engaged in a verbal altercation. During that verbal altercation, Eatherly turned his body in a bladed stance towards Fox and reached for a firearm in his jacket pocket. After that, a physical altercation ensued. Eatherly then discharged his firearm, striking Fox multiple times. Eatherly also sustained a gunshot wound to his own arm during the incident. Now here's what's important about that timeline. Notice what's missing from the official narrative. The affidavit doesn't specify exactly what was said during the verbal altercation. It doesn't state whether Eatherly used racial slurs or racial language. It doesn't explicitly state who initiated the physical altercation. It doesn't state whether Fox threw the first punch. The chronology is there, but critical details are absent. Eatherly supporters are pointing to these absences and arguing that they prove he's innocent. They're saying, see, the affidavit doesn't say Chud used slurs. The affidavit doesn't say Chud provoked Fox. Therefore, Chud is being treated unfairly. But that's not how legal documents work. The absence of detail doesn't equal innocence. It just means the details might come out later through witness testimony, video evidence, or other means.
They can even murder them.
I'm gonna kill this bud. Him is girl.
In 2021, a Dunkin' Donuts employee, Corey Pujols, murdered a man for saying a racial slur, and many people argued that it was justified. You don't even have to say the N-word. You could say something that almost sounds like the N-word, and they'll try to assault you.
I don't speak.
No, you do speak. You said my. I heard you say.
No, I mean it's
you got
short.
5 seconds to apologize. Slap you open hand.
In fact, there are many black people who commit murder and get off on a technicality because their IQ is too low, or they actually murder this person, they're convicted for it, like the 2 murderers of Ethan Liming, who got sentenced to 6 months, and the murderers of Valerie Schwab, who got 5 years probation. Eneli Chapa, academics, Stack Swopo, and others basically called for him to be murdered.
I want him to continue. You want something violent to happen.
Somebody don't knock his fucking head off.
However, Eatherly supporters also have a point about the self-defense claim. Under Tennessee law, specifically the self-defense statute, a person has the right to use force, including deadly force, if they reasonably believe it's necessary to protect themselves from imminent threat of death or serious bodily harm. The question is whether Eatherly reasonably believed that deadly force was necessary in this situation. Here's where the timeline becomes critical. According to the affidavit, we go from a verbal altercation directly to Eatherly reaching for his gun in a bladed stance. A bladed stance is a fighting position where your body is turned sideways to present a smaller target. It's a position someone takes when they're preparing to either draw a weapon or engage in hand-to-hand combat. Now, critics of Eatherly are arguing that reaching for a firearm during a verbal altercation before any physical contact has occurred is not self-defense, it's escalation and legally. This argument has merit. Under self-defense law, you cannot use force, especially deadly force, in response to words alone. Words, no matter how offensive or threatening, do not justify the use of a firearm. But Eatherly's supporters countered that Fox allegedly told him something like, I have PTSD. If you start saying all that chimp out stuff to me, I'm gonna hit you. And in Eatherly's account, Fox then hit him first. Eatherly claims he had to defend himself by shooting. The problem with this account is that it doesn't match the affidavit's timeline. The affidavit states that Eatherly reached for his firearm before the physical altercation occurred. So the sequence of events according to official documents is this. Verbal altercation happens.
How the fuck he's still alive?
Just so we're clear, people posted this man's address every single day. They stalked him. They were planning on murdering him. People were posting about how he should be murdered to a large audience. People murdered his dog.
Someone killed my dog.
They were threatening his entire family, and then he got arrested because somebody kicked him out of a restaurant, and then he was interrogated until 3 a.m. by federal agents.
These people took all my phones. Oh, the FBI is interested in talking to you. We're waiting on him. I said, listen, I don't give a fuck. I have nothing to hide. It's 2 a.m. in the fucking morning. I'm just tired of shit. I know you guys do this shit on purpose.
Federal agents took his electronics and froze his bank account and wiped his Apple ID.
I wake up the next day, I try to go to the Apple store and buy new phones because I don't even want the old ones back. Put a pager bomb in them. I don't even want them back, so I go to buy new phones at the store. Bank card won't work. Go to the ATM, won't work. I'm calling the bank customer service on the phone with them. Hey, can you unlock our card? Doesn't work.
The Montgomery County Sheriff that charged him and condemned him so harshly stopped posting inmate mugshots because his fat daughter was found guilty of aggravated abuse, abusing multiple children at a toddler daycare that they managed. This is what you're looking at. Sanctimonious bullshit from law enforcement, violent psychopaths who murder dogs and threaten your family, and you deal with criminal thugs who want to burn down buildings of people, assault their own family members, and murder random strangers. And you wonder, do they have the moral authority to try to condemn somebody like this?
The ramifications of that, even if I'm exonerated in trial for something like that, the world would never be the same, and my world would never be the same. In not a good way, not a way that I'm looking forward to. I do not want nothing like that to happen. I don't want any of that to happen.
Chud the Builder had
He
to shoot
reaches for a gun, then physical altercation happens. If that's the actual sequence, then Eatherly can't claim self-defense for the shooting, because at the moment he reached for the gun, he hadn't been hit yet. He hadn't been physically attacked yet. He was responding to words, or at most a threat of words with the brandishing and discharge of a firearm. That's not self-defense. That's escalation that led to violence. Now, there's also the issue of disparity of force. Eatherly supporters argue that Fox was physically larger and more aggressive, so Eatherly needed the gun to defend himself. But firearms instructors and legal experts have pointed out that Eatherly was the one with the gun. He was the one with the significant advantage. If Fox attacked him, Eatherly had the ability to create distance and move away. He had options besides shooting. Additionally, there's the fact that Eatherly shot himself in the arm during the incident. This detail is important. How does someone shoot themselves in the arm while engaged in a struggle on the ground? It suggests a lack of control, poor gun handling, or a confused situation. It also raises questions about whether Eatherly actually knew what he was doing with the firearm. But here's what's really important about this case. The court has to decide what actually happened based on evidence. Right now, we have the official affidavit, which is essentially the prosecution's version of events. We have Eatherly's own statements, which support a self-defense narrative.
Huge update in the Chud the Builder case. Dalton Eatherly's affidavit of complaint has been made public. In the official affidavit, not a single word about Dalton uttering a racial slur towards Joshua Fox. Not a single word about him provoking the fight. Without provocation, Dalton's legal justification of self-defense is entirely intact. January 10th, 2026, 18 weeks before the Eatherly incident, Joshua Fox had commented on Facebook showing premeditation to fight Dalton to launch his Twitch streaming career. Even if we set the self-defense aside for just a moment, the affidavit fails to outline any actual crime. Let's look at the state's own words chronologically. Dalton Eatherly and Joshua Fox engaged in a verbal altercation. A verbal argument is not a felony. At most, it's a misdemeanor, disorderly conduct that would apply to both men. But neither of them have been charged with this. Mr. Eatherly turned his body in a bladed stance towards Mr. Fox and reached for his firearm. There's nothing unlawful about taking a defensive stance and preparing to defensively draw a weapon when you are facing an angry antagonist who has followed you, who is pressing into your face and yelling at you, who is making a threat of violence towards you. Thereafter, a physical altercation ensued. Notice the passive voice. The state does not claim that Dalton Eatherly initiated this fight. If he had, you know that they would put that right here, but they didn't. What does that tell you? Joshua Fox initiated this fight, and the police and the prosecutor know this. The affidavit then states, Mr. Eatherly discharged his firearm, striking Mr. Fox multiple times. Discharging a firearm and striking an attacker is a literal definition of self-defense. It happens thousands of times every single year legally. As you know, he struck himself in the wrestling match. They try to point out that there were bystanders and a ricocheting projectile hit a nearby wall. This is reckless. He's discharging a firearm. But if somebody's attacking you and you're trying to defend yourself, discharging the firearm is the self-defense. Statistics show that law enforcement officers routinely
We have witness statements from people at the courthouse. We have video footage from the incident, though the initial moments before the fighting started haven't been widely circulated. What we don't have is a clear, undisputed account of who said what, who initiated the physical contact, and whether Eatherly's use of force was proportional and necessary. Now let's talk about the broader context here because it matters. Eatherly has a well-documented history of deliberately antagonizing black people on live stream. He's known for approaching black individuals and calling them racial slurs. He's been arrested multiple times. Days before the courthouse shooting, he was arrested at a restaurant for refusing to pay his bill after being disruptive and making racial statements. He's built a following by deliberately going into communities and using offensive language specifically designed to provoke reactions. His entire online presence is predicated on antagonism. And when something bad happens, he claims he's being persecuted for free speech. Here's the thing about free speech. Free speech is a constitutional protection against government censorship. It doesn't mean you can say whatever you want without social consequences. It doesn't mean you can go into public and deliberately insult and antagonize people without expecting a reaction. And it definitely doesn't mean you can pull a gun when someone responds to your insults with anger or physical force. What happened at that courthouse is a direct result of Eatherly's deliberate choice to antagonize someone. He made a calculated decision to confront people and use inflammatory language. He knew it would provoke a reaction, and when it did, he had a gun on him, ready to use. Now, did he have the right to be there? Yes. Did he have the right to speak, even if offensive? Technically, yes. Did he have the right to carry a firearm? That's more complicated. But more importantly, did he have the right to escalate from words to gun brandishing? Almost certainly not. The self-defense argument falls apart because self-defense is supposed to be a last resort when you have no other option. Eatherly had options. He could have walked away. He could have not gone to the courthouse. He could have not used inflammatory language. He could have de-escalated the situation instead of turning his body in a bladed stance and reaching for a gun. The courts will have to weigh all of this evidence. They'll have to decide whether Eatherly's version of events is credible. They'll have to determine whether his use of force was justified. But based on what we know so far, the self-defense argument is weak. Now, there's also been a ridiculous copycat situation that emerged. A satirical news site called Detroit AI posted a fake story about someone named Chud the Antagonizer, who tried to do exactly what Chud does in Detroit, approaching elderly black women with racial slurs, and allegedly got killed for it. The story was completely made up. It was obvious satire. But the problem is that hundreds of thousands of people shared it thinking it was real. And that's the danger of what's happening here. When you have someone like Chud deliberately antagonizing people and claiming it's about free speech, it creates a narrative that spreads. People start celebrating violence against people who mimic his behavior based on fake news stories. You end up with a society that's more divided, more angry, and more prone to violence. Willie D, the legendary member of the Ghetto Boys, spoke out about this situation. He pointed out that Chud brought all of this on himself, that at any point he could have apologized or stopped the antagonizing behavior, but he chose not to. And when violence happened, he claimed to be the victim. Here's the reality that everyone needs to understand. Conflict avoidance is always the most logical and prudent course of action. If you don't want to get into a confrontation, don't deliberately antagonize people. If you do antagonize people and a confrontation starts, the smartest move is to walk away or de-escalate. Using a firearm should always be an absolute last resort when there's no other option. And in the legal system, if you're the one who initiated or escalated the conflict, it becomes very hard to claim self-defense when things turn physical. The law generally requires that you be the innocent party in the situation. You can't provoke someone, then claim self-defense when they respond to your provocation. This is not complicated legal theory. This is basic self-defense law that exists in every state. You can't go around deliberately antagonizing people and then shoot them when they get angry. That's not self-defense. That's escalation with a firearm. Now, will Eatherly beat this case? That depends on several factors. It depends on what the video evidence shows. It depends on witness testimony. It depends on whether the prosecution can prove that Eatherly was the aggressor who escalated the situation. It depends on jury composition. It depends on which judge presides over the trial. But based on what's in the public affidavit right now, the prosecution has a strong case. They have the timeline showing Eatherly reaching for a gun during a verbal altercation. They have a victim who is a disabled veteran with PTSD. They have a pattern of behavior from Eatherly showing that he deliberately antagonizes people. And they have Eatherly on record admitting to being at the courthouse, admitting to the verbal altercation, and admitting to shooting Fox. The self-defense claim is going to be very difficult to establish given the circumstances. Eatherly's own statements about reaching for his gun and a bladed stance before being hit undermine any claim that he was acting in self-defense. What needs to happen in this country is people need to understand that words, no matter how offensive, don't justify violence, but also deliberately antagonizing people with the intent to provoke them is incredibly stupid and dangerous. And using a firearm in a situation where you escalated the conflict is not self-defense. Chud made choices. He chose to go to a courthouse where tensions were likely high. He chose to engage in a verbal altercation with someone. He chose to reach for a firearm instead of walking away. He chose to fire that firearm, and now he's facing attempted murder charges. That's not persecution, that's consequences. Let me know what you think about this situation in the comments. Do you think Eatherly's self-defense claim has merit? Do you think he'll be convicted? Do you think Chud brought this on himself through his antagonistic behavior? What are your thoughts on how he's been portrayed by supporters? Drop your analysis below, and make sure you subscribe because this case is going to trial, and there's going to be a lot more evidence presented. We'll be breaking down witness testimony, video evidence, expert analysis on self-defense law, and jury verdicts as they come. This case has broader implications for how we think about free speech, self-defense, and personal responsibility. So subscribe now and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any critical updates. Peace.